That's the best way to do it. All right, so with the avatars phase done, we're going to move into our resolution phase. Just talking about things that happened in the last round. I'm curious. We have the tracks clearly playing some infiltration games with the Amazons. Um, what is the overall goal with that? Do we know what we're? Are they just trying to corrupt the Amazonians or
Yeah, infect them, right?
Us.
Put them
infect
slatty eggs in there.
I know nothing of
Okay.
slads except that they're like the fantasy equivalent of a Jabba the Hutt. I'm assuming, you know.
No, they're like frogmen. They start off as frogmen and eventually become more powerful versions. Like if they plant their eggs in certain things like magic users, stuff like that, then they have different colors, different forms. But basically, like as they grow, they change and they metamorphosize into other things. But that's generally what they do is they plant their eggs in combat into other creatures.
Okay, and then they just take over the creature through breeding.
Yeah, it gestates and then it busts out of the body, kind of like a
Yeah.
face hugger, like
Alright.
alien.
What about the McCall folk in their star map? Any major play coming from that?
I think they're going to be the ones to start figuring out how many moons this world has.
Yeah, discovering those islands, right? Those the islands that have the suns and the moons.
Yeah,
And they're like, there's 6 of them, right?
yeah, and then they may be the first ones to figure out there's like a dead god body out there, some kind of irregularity out there in space.
I think also that they might, because of the fact that they came together to do those things, will have like maybe a theocracy eventually. Like they're starting to move maybe towards the theocracy based society, or like druidic in a fashion, possibly, just because of the fact that they're the first things that they're becoming knowledgeable about are the inner workings of the actual world itself and how it's operating. It's
They'd also
its
definitely
balance.
Figure out that those central islands are moving because they're so close to them. And if they're looking at the stars, they're going to tell that those bodies are moving. Those islands are
Yep.
moving.
What are our thoughts about like, are they noticing this slod thing next door, or is that something that is passing under their eyes so far?
Okay. I mean, since we're saying that the amount of years that pass and
What was that, Corinth?
I said I don't think that they know about the infiltration, but they definitely know the slaughter there.
Okay, so and your thoughts, Steve?
well, I was going to say, given the amount of time we're having passed theoretically between each one of these rounds in the first phase, it's what, like 500 or 600 years, right?
Correct.
So, given that consideration, what kind of effects do you think the Slod presence is having on the swamp-like island that they kind of claimed? I mean, earlier Corinth was talking about deforestation, which I think that they would have less of an industrial effect and more of a just bending and twisting of the
Yeah,
thing.
I think the reality would twist, right? Like that movie with Oscar Isaacs and Natalie Portman. What was that called? Where that Annihilation, how like everything starts to like randomly mutate, regress, or progress.
The fauna of it would be really like they would start becoming more chaotic, like mutations.
I like that idea
And that-
of them changing, right? That's a cool idea.
And one could say that energy, that effect kind of seeps in tons of different ways. It seeps into the waters outside of the island. It seeps into the living life in the islands nearby on the edges.
Like an infection.
Yeah.
Spreading.
Yeah, like an infection slowly creeping. It's like, say, like there's the main macaw civil settlement, which would be where that race is actually first built. But if you have any like rural macaws living out in the edges, they might get like more violent, or they might like separate themselves from the general society because they're like, well, no, those fuckers aren't. They don't think the way we
Even
fuck
start,
them.
yeah, even start to mutate, right? I mean, that's definitely
Yeah,
possible.
or start showing mutations. Soft beak.
Okay.
They get hit with a plague of soft beak.
I like where all that's going. It's very interesting. My next question is for the acidic oozes. their home was that mountain that essentially they were birthed from. The thing that birthed them theoretically is that dragon that just popped out. What does that do to the acidic oozes? Are they upset about this? Are they turning to full on worship of the awakened dragon?
To me, I don't see them worshiping. I guess like you would think that they would, but to me, like they probably have their own agenda. Like they just want to exist. Like they're still oozes. You know, I don't know how much they're going to care. It's going to be more along the lines of they want to exist.
Yeah, I don't know if it would affect them that much, right? I mean, it's not destroying them.
No,
Just
it's
swimming
not.
around the lake and creating more acid.
Yeah, does it threaten them? No. Then
I
does
don't
it?
think
How about
I don't
this?
think it would.
Does it protect them?
I think protection would probably be more appropriate.
I'm sure that giant fucking dragon there. No one's like, hey, this is a great idea. Let's go fuck with those oozes.
Yeah, and the question then becomes, okay, so we said that this ooze is a race, and it's not so one would assume then it's not just a monster race; it's a race that has the capability of having a society, right? So that means that they have thought, and they have a settlement, they have a city. So do these things look at that dragon and go, actually, I don't know what's in this world, but I know nothing's going to come mess with us if that thing's here. And we
don't worry about my camera going out.
Yeah, I like the idea of them using it as a defense strategy. I think that's a great idea. I think like maybe they build up that crater and make that like their major city.
Ooh, it's like a pool.
Yeah, you know, and like
begins to form back into it.
And that's where they would put their main city, I think, because it's protected by the dragon and by the acid.
Or you could also say that
by the crater.
Like that's the center of their city, or like the center of the crater is where like their breeding pool is, or wherever they keep their most precious like things that could be destroyed.
Moist.
Yeah, moist.
Yeah.
I think that, I also don't know if maybe the worship thing isn't appropriate, but maybe they would think it was like them. Like maybe they think that's what they are. Yeah, like they'll eventually become giant black dragons.
Yeah, that's
because it's what created them. So maybe they believe that's like their final form.
That's like the theology that starts to develop because of this thing being around them. That would be dope. It's just like they're
always trying to become closer to dragons, like to become that.
They're like kobolds, but not at all in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, dude, kobolds, acid kobolds. That's a great idea.
We're just going to get together and eventually we'll be like one dragon.
Yeah. We just had to form, and then that's.
Are we talking about Voltron kobolds?
Yeah. No. I was about no Voltron oozes that all come together to make one big ooze dragon, acid ooze dragon. I hate Softbeak in the Twitch. Everybody hates Softbeak.
Okay. Man, was there anything else to ask questions about? The lizard folk, the proto lizard men, and their migration east. Are they being purely migratory, or are they, dropping little get-togethers or little not civilizations, like little hamlets all along the way?
We should make them nomadic, like the fucking Khans, dude, like the Mongols. Just roam across the land and
steppe people.
Like steppe, yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it has a main base operation, but they're all going to far. I mean, like, Corman's got his main guard. But, people want to farm. The area is very fertile. That's a very fertile area to be in.
Yeah, and just like in that test run, we can say that settlement, that area right there, that settlement is the band. And so they can up their tech and they can figure out new things because they travel and all their knowledge is kept with their travels. And yeah, and like you said, it's a fertile area. And so as new races pop up, like these things are probably just terrorizing the countryside's mammalian populace. And eventually as more races come, they're going to find out too.
I mean, imagine like an ordered sect of like lizard folk who are warriors, but they're not stupid. Like they're not idiots. They make wise tactical decisions.
Yeah, like they're cave folk hunting down like very
Mongols.
Dangerous. Yeah, or like the Mongols. Yeah.
So I do have another question. Just moving through the things that we kind of had going on here. Rend is a proto dragon avatar. Probably the closest thing to a divine version of the proto dragons that exists on the plane on the Prime. What is Ren's personal take and personal thoughts when it comes to the concerns of this primordial dragon suddenly awakening?
Well, it depends, I guess, on where she like whose avatar she is. You know, like I know she's a primordial dragon avatar, but which one?
I think she's like I've seen her like a combination of all of them. So I think that she would view it as like a challenge to her power. So the thing coming out is a problem for her.
And she was an avatar of the newly awakened deity that came from this world, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that. She'd be like, "Who are you, and why are you on my plane?"
And so I know nobody wants to talk about it, but let's sit it down for a second and ask ourselves in the, what you said, 500 years? Or what is it, 50 years per round? Whatever, how many years it's been.
500. What's
500. In the 500 years, what can we say at all about what the Salmen have done?
We can't.
They
Actually,
swam upstream.
I don't even
500
know where they
years.
are on the map. John, do you remember where they are on the map?
Yeah.
In the ocean.
You mind dropping a little marker for him, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, I actually have another question that just is kind of something that got me thinking. The acid dragon is awake. It's one of the primordial dragons that kind of made up this world. Should we add that primordial dragon to our avatar list, or should we leave it as a rogue agent element of the world?
I like it being rogue, more like a resolution or an event, as opposed to an actual thing that has goals or an agenda.
I like that. I just figured I would ask.
I don't know who his actual motive is, other than just to exist.
I dig.
And also, this thing that now exists in that form might not exactly be the same thing, like one for one that was in that locked battle in the first place.
It could be an avatar of it, or a piece of it.
Yeah, it could be a piece of it.
Or it could just be something from that plane that they
Or-
think is the portal, right?
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible in that regard. It's just more of a question of what we were thinking on that.
I had an idea about the metal gnome.
Okay.
What if they try to make an alliance with the lizard folk too? Because I see that their avatar is using the acid to improve.
I mean, I could see that possibly, but right now they're almost a world away from them.
And there's tidal waves preventing most travel.
Make contact with anyone, it's going to be the Makos flying over to them.
Or the Amazon.
Or the Amazons.
Yeah. Those two people. Like maybe they met the macaws, and then the macamen like already met the Amazon, so the macamen play like, you ever play Civ? Hey, you have contact information on these people? Can you introduce us?
Yeah, well, nobody made armies, so I'm assuming everybody's peaceful except for the Slad, right? Or the Slod, because the Slod are the only ones that infiltrated somebody.
The Slod have an army right now,
I
too.
see the macamen, and I
But
know
the secret
macaws
army, you said it's the infiltrators, right?
Yeah,
So they have
it's
an
the
army like in the
infiltrator.
middle of their city. It's bad. It's not a good thing.
So the walls of Jericho will fall.
Yeah.
I can see the macaws though, because it seems like the macaws and the more gnomes almost have like this, like they're trying to find out more, or they're trying to seek more going on. So I can see those two mutually speaking with each other about like what's outside the plane, or like what's in the stars,
It's gonna be fun. A lot of people are gonna die.
So much death. So much death.
Those are the slots. Do the slots have a natural mortal enemy of any sort?
And things we can't talk about.
Law.
No, so like an archon of the dog person thing or something. Celestials.
Hound Archon?
Lore,
Yeah, Hound Archon.
Hound Archons probably, but anything from Mechanus,
Yeah.
anything that tries to bring structure to reality, to try and bring conformity.
The weave.
But we can't talk about it. So.
The Weaver.
Okay. A lot of stuff going on this first round. This is actually a much bigger resolution phase than our last go around at this. I mean,
Where the hell is on that head, John? Oh, where is that?
He's just being doofy, I guess.
Okay. Oh,
All right. So unless anyone
Can't
else
see
has
John.
any other,
Cleveland
can't really
Browns.
see it, but if anyone else has any thoughts on resolution for this round,
honestly, I think the Salmon are actually probably exploring because we can easily do it. They're just probably they might be exploring that. They probably have found a giant island just south of them that's like ranged very high off the ground, and they're probably like living in the real area south of it, just because why not? It's a very protected area.
no.
They're just running around.
I remember that area seasonally as the world shifts around becomes the water recedes and it becomes like a giant bog, and then the water comes back and it floods again.
They're probably the first ones to find out the hard way.